You're such an asshole.
So we got the problem of classically, how do you punch a cloud? You want to get rid of the cloud, but you can't punch it because how do you punch a cloud? But that's what we kind of got here. And so it isn't this tangible, finite mathematical problem or even a simple like, oh, yeah, I did my economic research and here's the answer. Because one, in part, it's global. Two, the individual who sent in this PSA, it's more of a PSA because he is employed. However, it's not that he didn't suffer his challenges to find employment. He's also witnessing his buddies who are not necessarily in his exact situation because this guy's from overseas, but he went to a Western school. And now he's looking at more of a global engineering employment situation, uh, of which his friends may or may not be. I don't know. I'm sure he has friends of both foreign and domestic. And there's me, where I've looked at the data. I'm like, there's not one thing I can, there's several things I can point to that gives us a general trend. And then, then there's also the facetiousness, the lying corporate scumbaggery, where we can't tell. Oh, there's so many job postings. Yeah, and half of them are fake in the United States because you guys don't actually have jobs, like openings. You just are doing it to collect data or to get a team of resumes deep. So in case the job ever does come up, classic example where the industry is telling us something and then our frontline troops are telling us different. So again, in the accounting industry, you fucking scumbag accounting employer, you accountant employers, we can't find people. Well, maybe if you didn't require 6 years of college education to sit for the CPA, you'd have more people. Or maybe if you paid more. Well, we can't find people. Guess we got to go overseas. There's a shortage. We can't find accountants. Are you paying them enough? Whoa, let's not get crazy here. Well, fuck you. And then finally, not that I want to rely on this as a crutch, but we're going to have to kind of rely on the comment section of people who are engineers, who are either working or in the field or whatever else. Because I did my research and I got like, I can identify the cloud, still can't punch it. So let's go to the request. That's the original request. Here we go. Hey, Aaron, I have another video request for you about a topic that I'm sure many people have brought up before on your channel. I am kind of skeptical of the value of engineering degrees in the current job market. I agree with you that they are, for the most part, employable degrees available. However, when I look at my social circle, people I know from high school who decided to pursue engineering at university have not had clear trajectories. Most of the people I know who graduate from engineering are unemployed, or they went to grad school, at least the ones who got degrees from my home country, in anonymous. Let's just say anonymous. I do have to say, only to be empirical. It's nothing against it, but this is not Dubai. This is one of your rank and file Middle East. My point is, it's not this booming, bustling epicenter of economic growth, nor is it necessarily a war-torn Middle Eastern country, but it does play a role in it. At least the ones who got degrees from my home country in Middle Eastern country. The ones who found jobs were the ones who went to highly ranked universities, but I did not even think they even needed the jobs. I know 2 people went to high school with me that went on to attend highly ranked universities. One of them went to MIT and studied mechanical engineering, which means he already had an incredibly rich parents to be able to afford school at MIT as an international student. He did find work, but in consulting. Yeah, Nepo baby. Yeah, it always helps. It doesn't matter where you are. It always helps to take out the inferiors from the analysis. And by inferiors, I mean kids who had rich parents and are Nepo babies. You're not part of the formula. You're not part of the solution. Oh, mommy, daddy. I'm not saying your friends were assholes, but like, get out of here. Chelsea Clinton was a hedge fund manager, worked for a hedge fund at 26. David Hogue has rich parents. Dad's in the FBI, or was in the FBI. What's her name? I just had to do a Clary test on her. Leave it. The White House spokesgal. Oh, get the fuck out of here. Don't even stand in the same room with me. You inferior head life on easy mode fucks. Go play on God mode. I'm gonna play on veteran mode. So yes, the kids that come from well-to-do families, mom and dad are gonna pull the strings because they know people and they're gonna find a job for them. That much is true. Although going to MIT will give you an employment advantage. Uh, so he does not technically need an engineering degree to be a consultant at. Oh, I'd love to say the firm he's at. He's one of the big 3 consulting firms, which again, the other person studied chemical engineering in the UK and got a master's degree in the same field at one of the top schools, Imperial College London. Again, another person that had incredibly rich parents to be able to pay for international fees at a top school. I it's a it's a co-variable effect. Both affect each other. The parents are rich, they can get them into high school, highly ranked school. Does increase their chances, but the parents having the money presupposed and allowed that to happen, but then the parents also having money probably have connections, right? It's a double effect. Anyway, he also never worked as a chemical engineer, now works as a data engineer. So also did not need his chemical engineering degree to do that job. Yep. See, if they're not even in the field, then mom and dad, they had to have pulled some strings. They had to. I am saying, of course, they had rich parents because although I was an international student, of course, I studied in Canada and my total tuition fees for the entire degree was $60,000 US, averaging $16,000 a year. That was what they paid in 1 year, probably more. Oh yeah, it's still a lot of money, but I was capable of paying it all by working with minimal help from my parents. There you go. Now, you're not a morally better person than these people, but you are a harder worker and a better person in that way. It will pay off in the end. Even the people I met during my undergraduate degree in Canada who study engineering disciplines, they could not find jobs unless they moved to very isolated towns in the middle of nowhere. True. This is true. You don't get to work for Bain or McKinsey in New York with mimosas every day. I've seen that with other friends of mine for the past couple of years too. Like, no, man, you got to go to where the jobs are. But that's always been the case. You've always had to go to where the jobs are. You would say that this is the current job market, but I honestly think the most engineering disciplines are oversaturated. And I'll tell you right now, based on my research, I still don't know. Because some studies say we're going to have a shortage, and other ones are saying, like, no, there's a surplus. And I'm like, okay, none of you guys know what's going on. So I'm going to go to what people's real world working experiences are. You have to find a niche field within engineering to be able to find a job. So you can not just study mechanical engineering, but you have to be a mechanical engineer specializing in cryogenics, for example. You can't just be an electrical engineer, but you have to be specialized in RF and microwave technologies. I'm going to agree with you on that because recession or not, having some kind of specialization would allow you to more directly apply for jobs. But I will say right now, we could debate all day long whether it's always been the case that you had to travel to where the jobs are. For example, here in the United States, well, if you went to Canada, you know this. They always got jobs in like Prudhoe Bay and the northern mines, right? If you're okay suffering minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit in winter and not seeing the sun, yeah, there's jobs there. Same thing here in the United States. You had to go work in North Dakota where there's nothing to do during the oil boom. It doesn't matter whether that's always been the case. It is the case now because that's where the jobs are. So from a more practical standpoint, if you went to school for 4 years, but I want to work in Miami. Well, too bad. So does everybody else. But hey, I know a buddy of mine working in the middle of freaking no. I said, where are you at? He's like, oh, I'm in this town. I looked at that town. I'm like, holy shit, there's nothing there. Out in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico. Yeah, that's where the jobs are. That's where you got to go. So in the end, to find a job in engineering, you still have to go to grad school to find a niche. You can't find a niche in undergrad, though. Like intern, get some specialization in school there. It is the same as other STEM majors that require graduate degrees like chemistry, biology, and physics. All right, the 3 you mentioned there are bad because they're not applied. There are such a thing as applied physics, applied chemistry. You need an engineering degree. Those generalist ones, you got to go on to get a PhD. So there is an asterisk or a caveat there. You might think that engineering is a fair playing field, but you still need connections. Oh no, so all engineering does is give you an advantage over liberal arts majors. That's basically it. Especially now, and especially in the West, you're going up against the exact same corrupt, politico, nepo baby, more modernly DEI, woke horseshit, girl boss horseshit, more than any other time in the world. So the corporate bullshit never ended. I mean, if you want, go look at Scott Adams, Dilbert from what, the 80s? I believe Scott Adams was an engineer at Pacific Bell. We're going way back. He was an engineer, and all the corporate mismanagement bullshit. That's how he became famous and wealthy. He just started drawing Dilbert. So again, I've used good degrees as you don't want to be stuck in the trenches of World War I because you know what the fuck is going on. You have no idea. You want to be up in the plane. You're still at war. It still sucks. And I think actually the fighter pilots died more, but you're not confused. You soar above that shit. You don't deal with HR. But you're still at war. It's just you're better than being a private in the trench. I personally have never found a job in stand-up or even an internship without some kind of connection, including my current job. Yes, exactly. And that has been the case. Online applications do not get you a job, even in advanced fields. And that is increasingly true too, because now employers, at least in the United States, I'm also going to assume the West, hopefully not the Middle East or globally, hopefully not. They are posting fake job postings now just to get resumes. A lot of them are just scammers trying to get your personal data, and there is no job, there is no company. But yes, the online guy, dude, it's so sad, but online applications are almost moot. Unfortunately, now we got to go back to that fucking networking shit, and I fucking hate it. The only thing I pride myself on is I made these connections myself and not through my family. Yep. And I know you're younger now, but it'll be a source of pride and actual advantage going forward in life. I had the exact same thing. I'm 100% me. There's no mommy and daddy. There's no frat boy bros. There was no, oh, you got a rich uncle. That was me. All me. So do not lose that pride. And you are a superior man in that sense. You are. Not like morally. You're just better. You're a harder worker. I mean, don't brag about it, but know it. So this is why I think engineering jobs are also saturated. I honestly think in the current job market, the best option is to start working after finishing high school or educating yourself and then starting a business when you have the finances and the skills. Let me know how much you charge for it. I agree. I would almost take a hybrid approach to what you're recommending. I still think engineering long term in pretty much all the fields has a net positive economic effect on your lifetime income earning. However, the labor market, especially in the West, is so corrupted and inefficient and chock full of fake job postings and progressive credentialism and corporate corruption and corporate enshittification and HR bitches and the girl boss, that affirmative action DEI. It's not even, it's almost left helping out minorities and women, which in your case would have helped. It's become a mentally ill cult that ostensibly, at least on the face, was to help disadvantage. It's just weird. It's just become a little club. That has made it where going balls to the wall, go right to school after high school, get your degree, now get an advanced degree. No. I think a much more rational approach is a hybrid where work out of high school, make some money, go to school part-time, start looking for internships and working at a company, even if it's the trades. Like, okay, you're an electrician or you want to become an electrical engineer, start working with some some kind of electrical project. Maybe even go to trade school a little bit to do some basic electrician work. I think slowly acquiring your academic credentials while working is a lot better because when you work, now you're in an industry. Now you're starting to form a network, whether you realize it or not. Like the last thing you want to do is come there with a squeaky clean, brand new resume with your college degree. Say, I'd like to network, please. And you stand in line, and they're still going to give it to the buddy who's been working with Bob or Frank over in accounting. So I think you're right to not go full time, not to put the focus on your degree and work. You're correct there. But I still think a slow acquisition, a part time acquisition of STEM, accounting, whatever else, actuarial science, computer programming, while you go straight out of high school working in a field or a company department in a field you like to get into. I think that's way better because now you're getting working experience. Now you're making connections, whether you know it or not. You're making a little bit of money, perhaps not a lot, and you're slowly getting your college degree. Then, fine, it takes you 6 years, but that's better than going to school for 6 years, having a shit ton of debt, in your case, busting your ass off working to pay for it, being miserable, and then you still don't get the job because you don't have the network. And when you at least go work, your network is honest. It's not, my daddy is vice president of Dick Suck Bank Incorporated at New York City. My mommy works at Bain. Surprise! I'm not accusing Bain of nepotism, but Bain, hey, you want me to go and take a look, figure out how people got hired at your company? Because I'm sure you just took in resumes and hired only the best. I'm sure you did that. There were no connections whatsoever, right? Cargill doesn't even exist. Like that's facade. Like you have to know somebody to work at Cargill, but then you find out you go to Cargill, it's not really a company. Like, nah, this is just a joke we're playing on all the local Minnesotans. They actually think there's a large company here. We just play a joke. There's no job, but now here's your business card. You can say you work at Cargill. Just say you work over in the Wayzata and then you deal with agricultural commodities. I think that's the way to go. And then, because here's the thing, you can't think just in the here and now, and I'll get to the current economic conditions domestically and globally. Why, yeah, I think there's an engineering recession. If I had to punch the cloud, I would say there's an engineering, certainly a tech recession. Those come and go. And at the end of the day, if you're going to go to school, if you're going to have a college degree, a STEM degree is, as long as it's not like a generalist chemistry degree or biology, heaven help you. In due time, if you get yourself a STEM degree, long term, that's going to help you more than no degree at all, and certainly more than a liberal arts or social sciences degree. But the pace and speed at which you should get it, I don't think the college degree, especially right now, and you've seen that, you'll see this when a recession hits, people will go back and then they'll get their advanced degree. And you're saying go get your advanced degree. I'm like, hold off on that shit. Or, you're like, oh, you need to get your advanced degree and a specialization. I'm like, well, hold off on that. A lot of people wait. They're in the middle of their career, a recession hits, and then they'll go get an advanced degree. Now, unfortunately, it's MBAs instead of a master's in chemical engineering or whatever you would prefer. And that's happened. So to introduce a little bit of empirical data, you don't have to have GDP officially contract by 2 quarters to have yourself an official recession. MBA applications are up 14%, I believe, which is an indication that may at least be a jobs recession, or certainly the job market is slowing down in the US and then consequentially globally. So continuing on with our original strategy, start working, go to school part-time, get your network, slowly acquire your degree, get your degree. All right, now you're entry-level engineer and you make engineer level 3 or senior engineer. Oh, recession, we got to lay off. All right, now might be the time to get yourself a master's. But I think we're in, let me pull up my notes. So I think we're in, at minimum, a weak labor market in the U.S., absolutely Canada. Canada's been shit. So just so you know, we got to diagnose the problem. It wasn't you. If you're trying to apply for jobs in Canada, it wasn't you. Canada, I mean, go look at Canada GDP economic growth to U.S. economic growth starting from like, let's say 2000. Once Trudeau took over, it flatlined. Canada is just a wreck. The United Kingdom, less of a wreck, but a wreck nonetheless. And the United States limping along. I know everyone compares themselves to the United States. We do not have a booming economy like we used to back in the 80s. We had a lot of people like, oh, the economy was booming under Trump. I'm like, nah, it wasn't. I mean, it was growing. It was good, but it wasn't booming. You don't know what a booming economy is. God almighty, you might be so young, you don't know when you may have never experienced a booming economy. So overall, Canada is a horrible economy. So that would explain that. The UK, I presume you sent some resumes there, as did some of your peers. Also horrible economy. The United States, all right. We get excited when we get 2.5% growth. That's fucking average, at least in my opinion. But so you're playing you're trying to sail against some headwinds already. You're flying into headwinds. The overall economic environment for all people has been average at best, poor, very likely. When it comes to specifically engineering, there's also the global trend to outsource everything, at least in the West, to India, the Philippines, or whatever overseas. That might have benefited you, but I've never heard any company say, we're outsourcing jobs to your country. And generally, the Middle East is not. The only ever time I've ever heard, if there's outsourcing, it's financial services to Dubai. That's about it. Saudi Arabia and the peninsula got oil. Ain't nobody going to Afghanistan, Iran, or Iraq. And then Qatar has a military base. That's basically. So that's a very simple analysis. The only time I ever heard of any outsourcing going on was when Stellantis outsourced to some Moroccan engineers, which I didn't know Morocco had a tremendous engineering industry. But it ain't your home country. And for anyone who is not from the West, let's just say you're an international student, you go to the West for school. The West has been weak. They've also been outsourcing, but if your country ain't where they're outsourcing the jobs, yeah, that kind of sucks. And then this presents everyone, but international students in particular, an uphill battle. So you are not from Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom. If you're applying in these countries or the outsourced countries that are not yours, you got an uphill battle. In the United States, you got to get a work visa. I don't know how other countries do it. I'm sure there's some kind of visa or application or hurdle you have to go through. So if you're an international student applying overseas, yeah, that's another problem everyone's going to face, engineer or not. But then let me go. You did find a job. Yeah, I asked, well, where are you applying for jobs? Canada, U.S. I've applied to jobs literally everywhere in the United States, Canada, U.S., the Middle East, and Europe. Oh, yeah, and Europe is just shit and have not received any interviews. I've been applying since the beginning of my master's degree. I have friends who've studied AI with me during my master's degree who are now working as cleaners in restaurants because they can't find jobs. Right. I mean, perfectly honest, it's not you guys. It isn't. You majored in the right thing. Sometimes you could graduate into a recession. Europe, oh my God, especially Western Europe. Yeah, it sucks. Nevertheless, and here's where you going it doing it. God dang, hang on. You doing it the right way. The hard way. You had become resourceful. And so you struck out and did something a little bit different. This is what kind of got you the job. Nevertheless, I was the only one who found a job because I networked with PhD students at my university until one of them helped me get a position I'm currently working at, which is a startup. I don't want to mention what because I don't want to identify you too much. Unlike the typical startup experience, the startup I work for does not overwork me. My job is very flexible and with working hours. This is great. Working remotely ever since I started. See, and this is for everyone. Everyone goes through this. I'll get back to the global economy. Everyone goes through this initial post-college career. How do I get an entry-level job if they all require experience? You talk, You playing poker or pool with the PhD students is what got you in. This is where I'm not for joining the accounting career club, but I am for going to a part, like hang out socially, go play pickleball with the nerds, go play D&D with the engineer graduates, that kind of like actual fun social shit. Yeah, I guess if you got nothing, go, yeah, join the electrical engineer accounting or electrical engineer social club. But you took the extra step outside of the bounds to make some connections that did end up getting you the job. Going to some fucking job fair. Fuck that shit, man. Talking to Karen in HR who's never done anything more than long division and probably still to this day couldn't do it. No. Unlike typical startup, boss doesn't remind me working from abroad. The pay is quite good, although it is unsustainable and it depends on financing. Anyways, made the payment. I want to know your thoughts about the value of an engineering degree in general. If you still think nepotism exists instead. Oh, yeah, nepotism. It's everywhere. Everywhere. It's never going away. It's never going away, which I clearly think it. Oh, yeah. No, it's out there. Anyway, so I'm just trying to figure out, yes, nepotism exists. You and other international students are going to have naturally just legal hurdles to apply into foreign countries. But my contribution to this globally, yeah, I think there's a weak labor market for engineers as well. Throw in the high interest rates environment, yes. Your uphill battle applying overseas, yes. So these are factors globally that are affecting you. The one thing I will say that stands out now, as opposed to in times past, I believe American employers, especially, which likely means Western employers in general. I can't speak for foreign nations. They've just become worthless, completely unethical, to the point of irrationality. I can understand becoming corrupted to benefit your buddies. These guys are not. There's something mentally wrong with corporate America. They're getting to the point. I don't know how much you paid attention in Canada or the United States, where they were just bowing down at the altar of DEI, which again ostensibly would have helped you, but man, they just made such shit products and hired shit people. Not because whatever they were black or female. That wasn't. These people had no experience, none. And corporations have paid the price. And they're getting to the point now where their products don't even work. I know it's odd, but well, you're an engineer, you might appreciate the oil pan now for Ford Motor Corporation. The oil pan should be the same metal as what it's attached to. I'm not a fucking metallurgist, but I know that much. They're replacing their oil pans with plastic pans now. Oh, but it's tested for high heat and da da da. No, just no. Where is the sanity? Where is the engineer to go in there and say, that's the dumbest fucking idea? No, don't do that. And now Ford has a shit ton of recalls. But what, as it particularly pertains to the labor market, forget progressive credentialism. That's still there. Now they're posting fake job ads because they just want to get a bunch of resumes on the Rolodex to call you up in case the job actually shows up. And that's where and then they outsource and all that to where I get to the point that they could say there's a shortage, we can't find, They're just bitching and whining. They're not serious about actually hiring people. I don't think there are jobs. And I think having you guys go unnecessary through applying for jobs like you did and not get a single interview, I think you're dealing with a mentally ill. Forget, it's beyond corruption. It's mentally ill. They're delusional. Companies and employers, you can't even call them employers because there ain't no jobs, who right now their only strategy is to outsource everything to a cheaper country, post jobs to get resumes. So in the 1 in 20 chance they have a job, you could apply. It's like it's as fake as girls' dating profiles on dating apps, half of which are bots, or Ahmed over in Pakistan trying to get some money, or girls that link you to their OnlyFans page. There's very few girls on dating apps that are real women who want to date, and I think it's the same thing on jobs in the West, engineer or not. And applying for jobs is almost pointless, as you found out, that you should be networking. And for new people coming in, start working now, go to school part-time. If you got to work at the entry level, whatever, driving the bus or what, I don't know. Specific to employers, that it's not even the hurdle, it's the black hole. You should avoid it. You throw in the global trends and higher interest rates, slowing economic growth, Trump's tariffs, these things all have an effect. Yeah, it's probably a bad time to be an engineering graduate right now. It probably is. And I would say overall, because economic growth is slowing, we haven't hit recession stage yet. In the U.S., we had a contraction for 1 quarter, but that was largely due to imports, but that's a different discussion. It's not a good or strong labor market economy to be graduating into, period. But the STEM guys, I would say, yes, it's also not a good time to be. And I don't care. Like, I'll take your real world experiences and words from your buddies than this horse shit. I saw engineering shortage, engineering oversupply. I got studies that are claiming both. And my favorite, it's estimated to be a shortage/surplus. They couldn't even settle on that by 2030. 2030 is 5 years from now. One was 2031. I'm like, what makes you think you could predict 6 years out, which they can't? So I would almost wholly ignore, which you have to. It's the same thing with dating. I don't give a shit what women say on the internet. I don't care what studies show. What's your real world working experience? Did you ask out 10 girls? Did 2 say yes? Did none show up? There's your answer. The studies show, research suggests, no, propaganda and lying sexist shit on the internet. Fake job postings, like how scummy are corporations in America that you pay for fake job postings? The fuck out of here. So I would still say long term, it's best. Yes, the economy is weak. Hopefully there are some engineers in the comments section who have years experience, are currently working, or you don't even have to have years experience. You could be a new engineer graduate, like, oh my God, That's better information than we're going to get. But no, you're not insane. Your friends aren't insane. I would also say it's not your fault. Yes, nepotism and connections have always, but that's always been the case. And perfectly honest, yeah, if you got to go work in the cold tundra of northern Canada or the hot desert of New Mexico, yeah, you might want to do it because at least that's where the jobs are. And then also be creative and innovative like you were. Like, no, I'm going to hang out with the PhD guys and go play Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. So I'd be curious to hear. I'm not fishing for comment, like, and subscribe. What do you think about the engineer? Actually, I do want to know what engineers think. Here, oh shit, it dropped it. You guys don't trust Shanique with your aircraft engineering. Dude, I love my planes landed upside down. I don't know about you. Let's go to the super chat. Flying Falcon, $5. In my experience, they are almost always living in their own little world. Maybe this will just get rid of the idiots who shouldn't design anything. What, the engineers, the employers? The employers, I think, are. MBAs and business leaders, at least in the West, for so long have treated business like a science, which is why they end up going bankrupt anyway. They factor in no humanity. And I'm not a big touchy-feely guy, but I do know employees are human, right? Right now, work from home. We don't need to pay these corporate rents, and we want you to be happy. I just don't understand. Like, maybe you ought to pay a little bit more so you don't have employee turnover. Or, like, Your current modern day business leader can't figure that out. They just look at spreadsheets. They all think your numbers. There is no art. There's no humanity in it whatsoever. Paul Smith, $2. Thank you, Paul. A Pringles can with veins, $5. Blue collar until you have a good enough idea to 1099 or create a product. Dealing with HR and corporate is basically torture. Yeah, it's becoming the word. The word we want is called untenable, meaning not possible to hold on to or maintain, or just impossible. I've said it before. White collar work is just not possible. W-2 work long term is not possible. I mean, you're going to have to do white collar work and you're going to have to do W-2 work, but it's not possible to have a successful career. I don't mean rich. I just mean a living wage, a stable form of employment. It is not possible. Like I said, I think your major U.S. corporations are just going to become logos with a corporate executive team, and all the employees are going to be overseas. Which means, like, well, then why would we even bother getting college degrees? I'll go build my own house and live like the Amish. I'm not kidding. Not that you got to believe it. I'm saying you become a secularist Amish. I'm going to build my own shit. I'm going to drill my own well. I'm going to have my own house and I'm going to grow my own food. And maybe I'll do some kind of blue collar work to help out other people. But what, in other words, going this whole white collar work is a tremendous waste of trip. It's pointless. I got to go get 6 years of education. Then you're not going to pay me enough to live. Then maybe by the time I'm 40, you're paying me. No, with all that labor, calorie for calorie, I could have just built a fucking house. Certainly the time and had no debt. And yeah, the idea that you're going to sit in meetings and deal with HR, the fuck out of here. The next invest, $5. 27-year-old Gen Z engineer here, submitted 400 plus applications to obtain my position. Shit sucked. Luckily, I'm on a specialized field where there only 2 competitors existed. You know what's funny is you sent out 400 applications. There's only 2 competitors. I mean, there's only a handful of you guys in the industry. You still had to send out 400 resumes? Fuck that shit. Really, you could be working as a bartender, slowly making your way. I'm not criticizing your choice there, Next Invest. I'm just saying there's a way more efficient way for people to do this. Paul Smith, $5. Have you ever been on a cruise? I've done well with women on them because there's nowhere for them to go. Yeah, I too have success with women I keep chained down in my basement. They got nowhere to go, man. It's amazing how compliant they are. I am kidding. I do not have, nor do I endorse having women chained up in a basement. You need them tied down with rope. That's what. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I know some of you spurgs out there are going to think I'm serious about that. I'm not. I like women voluntarily and enthusiastically to fuck me. It's much more fun. There is nowhere for them to go and you can build a mini relationship with them. Yeah, and there's limited selection of guys. Like, this is it. I've not been on a cruise. No. I mean, short little lake cruises, but nothing. Nothing. To the chickens, $5. At what point should I transition from cash and investment savings to assets because of a failing dollar? I don't know. It depends on your financial situation. And have you bought property? See, gold and silver you can't live in. Property you can live in and save rent, and also is a pretty good hedge against inflation. You got good skills that naturally are inflated against inflation, like dentistry, mechanic. Die casting air. My dad was an electrical engineer and made a career of it. I learned a lot from him. Engineers are only 2% of all graduates. Always need some for everything. Right. And I think, again, over long term, you know, when we as the United States, when the federal government stopped spending all of its money on fat single moms and DEI hires and making everything fair and equal and outcomes and all that and free food for fat people, and then all the liberal women in Edina are like, I feel so good. When we're done with that, you know, inevitably they're going to have to spend some money on these things called roads and bridges. And then the money will make it back into the civil engineering group. But there will come a time that we stop taking money from social workers who enable the parasitic entities of our to like, hey, you know, the bridges are collapsing. Maybe we should build some roads. Oh, shit. Now we got to hire some nerdy dudes in engineering. I know it sucks. If people want clean water, yeah, Flint, Michigan, you guys still Flint got clean water yet? Or did you spend all your municipal money on diversity, touchy-feely, gay pride parade initiatives? Or do you want clean water? Which do you want? Do you want Bear Patrol or good municipal services? Look up Bear Patrol. Classic. This is when The Simpsons wasn't lame. Bear Patrol. Slim Jong-un, $5, just got laid off from my tech job in Utah after they got major expansion subsidies, hoping to find another nearby. Hiking here is too good to leave. Yeah, Utah. Dude, there's not a spot in Utah that isn't awesome for hiking. Northern part, you got the mountains. Southern part, you got the canyons. Yeah, dude, I'd go van life or work at Alvaro's if you're in St. George, Utah. Free Mexican food, the best in the world. Cappy, I know. Shut up. Shut up. I'm not talking about my buddy who is erroneously thinking that Tacos Plaza, also a very good restaurant, half a mile down from Alvaro's. He thinks that's better than Alvaro's. And this is great because he is allowed to be wrong in this country. But you have two very good Mexican restaurants in St. George if you happen to be living there. Burbshide, 5 Australian. Support for some of our technology services have been outsourced to a place where chasing KPIs is more important than fixing stuff. I'm not worried about this. If you want to outsource to people who don't have the skills or the language ability, fine. If you want to have corporate bureaus do leverage buyouts and private equity take over and focus on KPIs instead of actual profits, you want to focus on EBITDA instead of net income, I don't care. Disney, you want to keep making more woke girl boss horseshit? Go ahead. It will fail in the end because engineering deals with the real world. You are going to have to answer to the real world. We can print off all the funny money and we can all take a vacation from the real world and think like, hey, lesbian girl boss space soap opera, which was called The Acolyte. Let's do that. I don't care. Girls, you want to I'm going to get fat and pierce my face and tattoo up and I'm going to girl boss and I don't need no man. I can't freeze my eggs. I don't care. Fine, you're going to be a lonely person and I don't need a man. You can keep pounding. That's up to you. At the end of the day, you'll be a barren Karen and miserable and be on antidepressants. That's where the stats say you're going. That's not my opinion. At the end of the day, though, we didn't have the United States and generally the West, even the economic miracle of China and to a smaller extent Vietnam. We didn't have this success, this economic miracle, because we ignored reality. We got up close and personal to it, developed a respectful relationship with it, and we made the vast majority of our decisions based in it. And copious amounts of economic production came forth. And then we just spoiled our people. Well, you can be passionate and touchy-feely. I can be an HR. Surprise, we've abandoned reality. But reality always wins in the end. And I can't wait. Look, the day is coming. HR will not be here. I'm fascinated it still exists to some level. DEI is quickly being eroded because they're starting to find out, hey, maybe you ought to hire people for their content of character and not the color of their skin or the plumbing down below. Women are slowly finding out that they're slowly finding out that men are not out there interested in dating. They haven't figured out why. They have made the connection because they can do no wrong. And men should like fat women with attitude and piercings and other men's kids. But they're slowly realizing, hey, did you notice the men aren't around? They're at that stage. It might be another 120 years. They'll say, and it's because we got fat and treated them like shit. That's like 7 generations from now. But they will come to that realization at a glacially slow speed because it's reality. And you just, at minimum, walk away and say, it ain't us. Oh, no, Western employers who now create fake job postings. They're not hiring us. Shock. Shock. Oh, no. The dating app that doesn't offer dates is going bankrupt. Shock. Shock. Striker, $5. We can't find enough qualified candidates. There's a shortage. Oh, whatever shall we do? Management, outsource to India and the Philippines. That's the number one thing. And whatever you do, don't lower your education requirements, which are absurdly, ridiculously high in the first place. And don't train your employees. And whatever you do, don't pay a living wage that would have people flooding your job. And whatever you do, also never hire anyone. Right, Karen? Never hire anyone. Karen in HR, don't hire anyone. Pringles can with veins, $5. Applying to fake jobs and corporate nepotism is the equivalent to a girl that demands a $500 dinner, dates for you, but blows Chad in the car for free. Exactly. And just stop. Just stop. Faithful sock, $5. Here, get some money for gas. Good. That'll buy a gallon and a half. Ooh, it's 11:30. It's Brave time. I am a pampered little bitch. Let me tell you about how pampered a little bitch I am. Though I've earned it. I've come a long way. We bought a Brave machine, and my girlfriend's a very good cook. She's really good. And she wanted to get a Brave machine for the Southern Command. And she mastered it. And now she makes these fantastic Braves. And yes, I would go and spend $6, maybe even $7, depending on the coffee store, to get out of the fucking house because I work at home. On my way to the gym, and I'd have a Brave. And they actually serve a really good, if you're looking to lose weight, you get the fat, heavy cream only Brave. So you got low carbs, all fat. And I use that to tide my hunger over. I don't eat until about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, but around 11 or noon, I'll have a Brave, sometimes even half of one. And that kills the hunger and postpones me eating a real meal till later. And so the strategic use, even if you're paying $6, $7 for it, does that. But then we're like, she wanted to have it herself, and she makes it's better than anything else that you can buy at the coffee stores. Now we're saving $6, $7. Oh, we easily saved the money back in one season for the Brave machine. If you like espresso, yourself an espresso machine. Those are worth it. Save the money. All right, that's it. Link below is the book Worthless, The Young Person's Indispensable Guide to Choosing the Right Major. And I think also Bachelor Pad Economics. See you guys later, Toodles.